Hello, Lisa here. It's interdimensional 5D. If you go to sleep at night and you think you've done something and wake up at a repeated time, more than likely you have. We consider that working for the army of the Lord or you working for the army of the bad guys. Either way, I'm speaking to you. These theorems are based on Dolores Cannon's work, reading the Bible, and my own personal experiences. And they want me to add this in here. I am an ancient alien theorist. I believe in those things, okay? There's too much evidence to say this planet wasn't seeded by aliens. And I'm going to explain to you some things about that. Religiosity, okay? Religion is important, our faith is important, believing in God is important. Making a decision at some point in your life as to whether you're good or bad is important. I've chosen when at 17 years old, I decided I wanted to be a good guy. I grew up in New York. There was a lot of people doing weird stuff. And I got involved in some weird stuff for a minute. Like, seriously, for a minute. And I decided, no, I don't want to do this. I have too much skills, talents, and abilities. I don't want to go down as a bad guy. So I made a decision, I'm going to be a good guy. Everybody does that at some point in their life. When J.K. Rowling talks about Harry Potter, usually, people come out with their magical abilities 11, 12, or 13. I did a seance once, and I was 12 years old or so, and Spirit reminds me about that experience, and I am a medium. I actually pulled in a spirit. We had an unusual circumstance. I had a group of girls spending the night, and we lit a candle, one outside the circle, one inside the circle. I had done the research to see how to pull in a... And, I'm not going to explain the whole experience, but everybody ended up screaming. My dad, who was sleeping because he'd worked nights, right? Came down, what the fuck is going on, you girls? This is supposed to be a party. And we told him what we were doing. I was like only 11 or 12. And he said, after the girls went home the next day, Dad told me a story about when he was in World War II. And he told me a story that they fight during the day. Back then, there was rules to war, and at night they'd rest. And there was trenches. And they were in a trench. When you fight and you pass out and you're tired, you sleep. Your body sleeps. And it was raining, the weather was bad, so they stopped fighting. They got in their little, their things, and they fell asleep. And his dad who has passed away, woke him up in the trenches. Andy, it's time to get up. It's time to go to school, is what he told him. And when my dad woke up, and this is how hard it is when you fight, right? They're passed out. The water was up to here. They would have all drowned. They were that tired, okay? Tired, concussed. Some men were injured, Dad woke his squad up and saved lives. And he told me that story, that his father came to him in a dream time, I'm talking dream time, and woke my father up so he would wake up his group and save their lives. And he did. And he told me, hey man, there's stuff out there we don't understand. You shouldn't mess with it. Now here I am years and years later messing with it. And I find that fascinating, okay? And Spirit has been telling me you're going to reconnect to something you did when you were very, very young. And so hence, I believe I am a medium. I speak to the dead all the time. Andy Warhol told me I should when I lose a little more weight, posterize myself with this fucking blue wig on with the pendulum. And I have an image on that I want to share. I think I'll put it away, but that's neither here nor there. I'll do it later. Anyway, I'm here. I've got a few messages to give. And basically, I'm out here being annoying to the bad guys. Okay? You either work for the army of the Lord, if you get this stuff, or you work for the bad guys. Either way, I'm talking to you. Okay? Bad guys are learning stuff. Some of them have had their hearts weighed, which is interesting that they would still be doing bad stuff. But you know, God created Satan. God created the bad guys. This is the interesting part. And when you guys pick on light workers, this is hilarious. Your demons and stuff won't work after a while. And you wonder, why isn't our magic working? It working for 35 years. Why would it stop all of a sudden? Because God called a quit on it. Because those devils, the elementals, demons, Satan, they've all been created by God. So when you see somebody who walks with angels and you've got visual evidence of it, and then you say, oh, is that a demon? Yes, it might be. That person might actually have demons that like her. And angels. Because they all go together. It's all created by God. How could you deny it? Anyway, that's food for thought, people. Okay, now, I have to start this over again. I've been reading a book, and I want to talk about words of the Bible, because this is important to God, and nobody but me with a frickin' blue wig is going to say anything about it. I've been reading this book, The Fight to Flourish by Jenny Lusko. Jenny, I hope I meet you soon. Anyway, I can really relate to some of the things in that book. It's a beautiful story, and I am fighting to flourish. For good heavens, I will not give up. So here I want to read something. And Miss Jenny, if you happen to see this video, this is not to contradict you. This is not to contradict your lovely husband. And this is not to really contradict. It's just to broaden, open the mind of, and give people some thought about it, okay? I'm really not trying to break down paradigms. I'm just saying there's something deeper that we're all missing. After all, look what's going on in the world today. It's pretty strange, okay? And at some point, you're going to have to check your faith, okay? Like, are you going to be participating the bad guys? Or are you going to make a decision? I'm good. I'm a good person. And when you say that, will you do unto others as you would have done to yourself? Those are important words. Words are death or life. Okay? I have a card that says that. Now, in her book, I'm reading a small section. I have hidden your word in my heart. And herein she says the Hebrew word for hide is tsaphan. Tsaphan. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Translated, treasure up. We gather up God's word. We treasure it. We study it. We memorize it. We meditate on it. We soak in its truth. But here she says, Psalm 119 tells us what this dependence on God's word looks like in our hearts. How can a young person stay pure? By obeying your word. I have hidden your word in my heart, that I might not sin against you. I have hidden your word in my heart, the hidden word for hide says tisfan, translated treasure up. Now here's where I get all kerfluffled. I could treasure up. Treasure up. Treasure up? How do you see that as hidden? I am full. My heart is full of the Word of God. It's not hidden. It's not treasure. It's treasured up. I'm full. I'm bold. I'm bursting. That's not hidden. Okay? You're out there being a fucking warrior for God. To me, that's what that word means. Okay? And that's where I say the translation needs to be looked at by people who are not fucking overly educated to be blind. Brainwashed.
We can hear you.
I'm sorry. I get too loud. God, is there a place for me where I can be loud on purpose? I'd love to have that job. Anyway, there it is. I just want to say, that's not hidden. That's powered up. I'm powered up. I'm powered up for God. The Bible's full of mistranslation, in my personal opinion. And you theologians out there, come and talk to me. Let's either fight verbally or let's get in the ring. I'd like to pit you against me and my angels, 'cause I walk with them. Anyway, I'm a warrior for God. I'm not a theologian. I'm a fucking warrior. And my God says the word fuck. And Jesus hangs out here and he laughs at me all the time. And someday you'll find out why. But I can't tell you right now. It's need to know only. Anyway, I got some messages for certain people. One of them is my nephew Noah. Noah, something's going to happen in April of next year. I don't know what. Pivotal changes are coming. They say, I hear these words. If anybody asks you questions, be totally honest and do not be afraid. And the other thing you need to know is these two miscreants that live down here that have effed you over and effed me over, they now can get in your third eye. So if you see your fucking uncle staring at you, just go, and know that will send it back. Okay, you're taking all your energy. I've done it. They think they're hot stuff, okay? And it's almost over. Okay, that's that message. Now, the next message is, when you go to the doctor, I have a dear friend who I love dearly. We haven't gotten to know each other a whole lot, but she married a good friend of mine, and she's important to me. That's his other half. I never effed the guy, but we were friends, platonic friends, and those things, relationships after 40, 50 years are important. She's important to me, and she's ill. She's been to the doctors. Doctors can't help her. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go within. You've been to a ton of doctors. You could keep trying. And I'm not saying don't go to the doctor. I'm not saying don't believe in the medical system, because my son-in-law works in that profession and he's good at it. He cares. He actually cares. You have to find people who actually care and people who look at alternative things as well. And they're out there, okay? But go within. And here's what I'm going to tell you why. We're created to heal. Have you ever watched Battlestar Galactica, the Cylons and all that, and they come and they, once they die and they're downloaded and they come up and then they're them again. Well, to a certain extent, we're biological entities and our bodies can heal. You know, you see, you get cut and the skin grows back and all that stuff. Well, you can program yourself every night. You got to know what the key words would be to tell yourself when you go to sleep. And if you talk to your angels and God and meditate and get into some quiet time, they'll tell you what to say. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you, personal experience, because those things work. When I lived up in Montana, I had a terrible insomnia. Well, the accident started with a woman up there, and I guess intuitively I must have known, but I didn't really know. You know what I mean? I stopped sleeping. I went and talked to a psychologist. I can't do the medications because they make me swell up to where my skin swells up and it feels like it's going to split. So I can't do any antidepressants. So this woman, they gave me there was the psychologist and then there was whatever the underneath was. And we went through, let's try your diet. And one by one we eliminated things. We started with the milk and then the flour and yada, yada, yada. Finally, I got down to onions. Now, my last name is Piscini. I'm Italian. All they do is cook with onions and garlic, right? As soon as I eliminated onions from my diet, I didn't fart anymore. I wasn't gaseous. And I could sleep. So maybe your issue with not being able to get well over a specific thing, which I have looked up for you, darling, and people get well from that. Either you're being effed with, or you need to go through your diet and see what is blocking the healing process. Because seriously, don't think it's just you getting old. Drink a lot of water. This is Miss Lisa's intuitive. Drink a lot of water. I want you to get some raw honey. Not the clear stuff. It's got to be solid. And you eat a spoonful, a teaspoonful of that a day. Or you could put it in your tea, if you wish. Raw honey, okay? I just feel like that would be really good for you. And then a really good drink is to take some actual ginger, shred it up, boil it up, let it turn into a tea, put it in your cup, put some lemon and honey, and ginger tea is a very cleansing, it'll heat you up a little bit. I just feel like heating you up and getting your blood going, and then make sure you exercise and rest, okay? But take your diet. What do you eat on a regular basis? Look at it. Look at it objectively, okay? Don't start with meat. Start with the milks and the dairies, the egg. Egg has sulfur in it like onions. Now, I know a lot about food because I had an autistic child, and I studied autism, and we helped him via the food route as opposed to taking pills. Okay, so he didn't do the what do they do for some of them kids? It's that speed stuff, Adderall, and then they get skinny, they don't eat, and they become anorexic. We didn't do that for focus, okay? I just took him off of soda and made home food. Cilantro is a natural chelator. Make sure you get cilantro into your diet all the time, okay? Because it pulls out bad stuff, and you poop it out. And our bodies are made to heal, okay? Now, once again, I'm not telling you to don't go to a doctor, because Miss Lisa here has been to many psychiatrists because both of my husbands said I was crazy. And yeah, I got this blowhead on. Maybe I am a little bit. But they say I'm not, okay? The minute you say, I think I'm crazy, they no. Crazy people don't ever say that. Am I a sociopath? No, sociopaths don't ever say that. So no, when you question your own reality and your mind, you're on level ground. Know this to be true. Um, try to save lives here because sometimes when we get caught up in the stream time, and some of you don't know you're caught in it, it can be dreadful because there's people out there taking advantage of people. Know this to be true. And it's people like me who go boom and beat them up. We beat them up for you, and we like it. Anyway, some of us can take bruises. I showed somebody some bruises. Now I have another thing. Where did that thing go? We kind of had a semi bizarre meeting last night. It was really like out of the blue. A whole bunch of us got together and talked about stuff. Oh, here it is. So, if you have people showing up in your third eye, because those of us who get into the stream time and get it, this is where we work, right? Third eye. If you're visual, you know, if you're a visual artist or artist of any type, you're out there. You're pulling from the ethers, okay? If you're getting your creative material from the ethers, you're pulling in stuff that you're not even aware of, whether you've been in a coven or not, okay? If you've been in a coven and walked out, it's going to be worse for you. Okay, just know that to be true, unfortunately. They don't let people leave very easily. Anyway, third eye stuff, they come. This one particular guy likes to get right up there and look, I wake up, this person's looking at me with it. And I go, boom, and don't do that to me. You'd be very foolish. Anyway, I bought this. I've been injured on my knee, which is really interesting. I don't do any physical stuff, but I can barely walk. Well, actually, I do. I work out, but I don't think I kicked to break something in my knee. And I can't afford to go to the doctor right now. So I bought this sock. It's got, see, that's the little element for copper. And the spirits have been talking about copper. So copper fights spiritual warfare. Know this to be true. There are people with energy weapons. I know they like to deny this, but they are there, people. Listen to Barack Obama back in, when was he president? Whenever he was president, I am so not political, and I am not a Democrat. I have voted Democratic in the past because, I voted for Bill as opposed to George, and because he was the better choice, in my opinion, and why people don't. That's how most people, normal people, think. Where we come for this Democrat Republican bullshit, I just am flummoxed about it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But Obama said we can read people's minds now, which means they've done some significant work into getting in our heads, and I believe they use energy weapons for that. And when you hear other people, and I've been involved in the psychic community and seen people who are actually suffering from this stuff. Okay? Anyway, now they do make this is a to put on your knee. And it's woven with some copper fibers. Okay? So we had this meeting. Somebody called me and asked me about aliens, a specific group of aliens, and I gave them the information because I can attend to my spirits and get strange knowledge. And so I told this person some of the strange knowledge, and then I woke up at 2 a.m. I asked my spirit team, "Is that guy awake?" They said, "Yeah." And I ring the doorbell. When you connect with your people and psychically, you should come up with a sound and then ring doorbell 2, and then you know the person's name, and then that's the polite thing to do. Okay, just so you know that. Anyway, what did I ask? I woke up and asked him I asked a bunch of questions about how he knew about these aliens and what his experiences were, and if they effed with him in their mind. And yes, he did. And he said he brought this up and said this stuff really works. So I want somebody out there. We need some nightcaps for when we go to sleep at night. Now here's what I did after we had this meeting. I put this effing thing like that on my head and fell asleep. And I really wasn't effed with it. And the interesting part is, when I pulled it off, I heard somebody go, ah! Like, so my energy came out. So it did repress. I guess they were looking to get into my head, and they couldn't. Okay? So this copper stuff works, people. I'm just putting that out there. It really does work. Anyway, that's all I have to say today. Keeping it simple, keeping it short. I hope everybody's well. Oh, I did have, I think, the 21st. Be prepared. I pulled cards, and the new moon. Something's going to happen at this new moon. Between now and the new moon, things are going to shift and change. Portals are going to be opening, and things should be changing for all of us, okay? So, peace out. Be well. No, I think you're amazing, and I do really love you. And thank you, friends, for watching. I don't say this often enough. I do appreciate you all, especially the ones who reach out. We have those 2 o'clock in the morning discussions. It's really, really fun. All right. Be safe. Bye now.